Hi again then guys, and welcome to another speed build. In particular though, this is harkening way back to one of the very earliest tunes, possibly even the very first tune actually I did for Gran Turismo 6 on the channel years ago now, for the Chaparral, of course, about 295 miles per hour or something in reverse, became a hit. I used to use it all the time online, then you'd see tons of other people using it as well. This one isn't as quick as that, of course, but I don't think any of the cars in GT Sport are as quick as that 2J was in reverse, but this one is still very quick. So if you've got a Jag D-Type, and if you love trolling online lobbies like I do, this is a great tune. It's a fantastic conversation starter. People love to watch it in action, and you don't actually get called a hacker or a modder anywhere near as often as you'd think, or at least I didn't. Now, as far as the tuning goes, you don't need to drop the weight, because of course you can if you choose to, but it costs an awful lot of mileage points, and I don't really spend mileage points on my high rollers unless I have to. So for this one, I would just recommend the power. Now, you could drop the weight if you want to, but that will probably affect your acceleration more than your top speed. So you do want the maximum power. Without max power, you can still get it up around 190 in reverse. So if you don't have enough mileage points, don't worry, you can still do it. But of course, with more power, it will be faster. That's kind of how performance works. Now, as far as traction control, it's turned off. As far as the tires, we've got softs. You could even go for super softs, to be honest, just to give you maximum grip with that qualifying style tyre. As far as the suspension, we've got 100mm, which is the lowest, in other words. You could try putting the rear suspension up to 150 instead, and that actually does improve your reversing acceleration. It makes you, over the course of say 1,000 meters, about 7 to 10 car lengths faster than if you don't do it, because I raced my own Ghost in reverse to see how it compared. But I would not necessarily recommend doing that, because on the corners it makes it far more skittish and you lose a lot more speed through the corners. If you leave the suspension low on the back, you can take the corner about 218, 220. If you raise it, you'll drop to about 212 because it's a lot more slippery. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that, but it's an option if you want to. Now we've got the frequency on 2.7, the anti-roll on 8 and 7 respectively. For the compression and rebound on the dampers, I believe I've left those stock or close to it, 56 and 85. For the camber, I've adjusted it just a little bit to 2 degrees on the front, 3.5 on the back with neutral toe. Of course, you want the downforce set as low as it can go on both the front and the rear. As far as the diff, again, it's a reverse tune, so there is no precedent for it because barely anyone does it. So I've gone for halfway on initial torque and then the lowest acceleration and braking, but if you want to go for something else, by all means. And as it happens, it's actually a very good handling car in reverse, so you might not need to change that too much. Now, of course, the key to a tune like this is the gearbox. And this is where your options come in, because in order to do this, you want to, of course, fit the fully customized manual transmission, then go to your auto setting and put it all the way up as high as it can go. Next, you need to do a gearbox flip, which any of you who have been around on the channel for a while will probably be familiar with this, but for those who aren't, because there are still quite a few people who don't seem to be familiar with it, go all the way down to your final drive, and then put that all the way up to 5. Put it all the way up. Then come back to the auto setting, click on that, take it down a notch and then up a notch, and you'll notice that all of the individual gears are now lower, and it allows you to reach much, much lower ratios, and that is the crucial part. Now, you don't technically need to adjust the gears. I don't think, I haven't tested it without it, but they shouldn't really affect the reverse gear at all. It just depends how the game's physics work in that regard. I tend to do it anyway, just because it's cool to have super long gears. And a top tip, if you do want to use first gear for going forward and just get top speed in first, I'd recommend increasing that ratio to around the 250 mile per hour mark, so basically 1 for that. And then that'll get you basically the same speed in first gear as in reverse. So top tip in addition there. All the rest I've got all the way to the left, and then the option comes in when you choose to split acceleration and top speed. Because of course, any of you who use that Chaparral reversing tune will probably remember that the top speed was really good, but it took a long time to get there. So you could improve that, but you would sacrifice some slipstream potential in doing so. So if you want this one to just be good for top speed and have slipstream potential up around 250, like I said, then you'll want to put that final drive all the way down to 2. However, what I've done, as you can see, is put it on 2050, and that extra 50 makes a big difference to the acceleration, and it makes it quicker over the course of a lap because the acceleration is so much quicker. So once again, it's a good probably 20 car lengths faster, if not more, in terms of getting to 1,000 meters in reverse. So in other words, getting from 0 to top speed in reverse is about 20 or so car lengths quicker. So a big difference in terms of acceleration, but you can still do the same top speed. So you don't really lose it in that regard, so there's no downside. The only potential downside for some people is that you can't slipstream quite as high. You still got some potential, you could probably get up around 240 still, but it's not quite as much. So as I said, that's down to you to choose what you need, but of course what you want to see is what this nuts little car can do in action. So as far as top speed goes, as you can see, it comfortably cruises at 223, like I said, and as you can also see from the rev gauge, you've got a little bit of slipstream potential as well before you actually hit the red line. So I haven't tested this particular final drive with slipstream, so I can't guarantee what that slipstream speed will be, but like I said, it should be over 240 because you got a little bit of distance there. In terms of lap time, of course a standing start lap is way slower because it takes you up around 50 seconds to hit 200 miles per hour, so it's pretty slow in reverse. But again, it's a speed tune, not an acceleration tune. So in terms of the running lap, so actually cross the line at top speed, you can do it in 5 minutes and 5 seconds with this tune, which that's pretty impressive for a car going backwards. So if you do decide to use this tune, I hope you have a ton of fun with it. I certainly already have. The only downside is that it doesn't record any mileage in reverse, so you will get no mileage bonus, nothing like that. But again, that's kind of a weird little novelty anyway, if you want to use it. It's a great conversation starter. People love to see this thing in action online, and I had tons of people pulling up in front of me to give me slipstream to see how quick I could get the car. So it's a great tune, it's a lot of fun. So if you do decide to use it, of course, let me know if you do enjoy it, and check out my other tunes here on screen by clicking through to the playlist. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.